All right, you guys, welcome to some stretch and unwind yoga. My name's Brittany. This is Robin.
Hi.
Get familiar with us. We're happy you're here. We're going to be doing a pretty deep stretch yin style class. If you have a bolster, I recommend that you bring it, and then also your blocks if you don't have that already. Okay. So in place of a bolster, you could use a pillow. It doesn't really matter. We're gonna start in an Egyptian pillow. So if you do have a bolster, I'd set up the blocks really close together, kind of like a T shape. I like it being propped up high, especially if you're just diving into a practice. It's a nice way to get integrated. So just lean your bolster up against your blocks. I'll show you from the side while Robin sets herself up. You're gonna scooch your glutes a little close to the bottom of your bolster. Take an easy lean back. So you should feel super supported here. Your arms can just rest down by your sides. Your knees can stay bent, pointing up or knocked in together. You could also just let them lay out straight, let them flap wide. This actually feels really nice, so I might settle in here too to get grounded with you. Maybe it's been a long day for you. This is a perfect way to unwind your nervous system and just take a moment for yourself. Go ahead and let your eyes shut if they're not yet closed. And just check in with your breath. You don't even need to change it. Just begin your practice of observing and watching. Noticing the small things. It's been quite prevalent in my life lately that the small things actually aren't small. They matter. They add up. So find some gratitude for those just tiny sensations that you have in your body, starting at your feet. Maybe you wiggle your toes and appreciate those tiny movements that you do have. Take your awareness up towards your ankles, your shins and calves, your knees. Float your awareness up towards your thighs. And imagine those bones, your big femur bones, weighing down into the earth. Same thing with your pelvis. Let them drop in. You could also just do this practice on your back if you don't have any blocks or props. It's the same thing. Let the earth, let the things underneath you come up to support you. Let yourself rest in it. Appreciate the stretch that you get across your chest. Take it all the way up towards your face, and then down towards your arms and fingers. Give your fingers a little wiggle, and then let the backs of your hands rest down on the floor. Take a deep breath in, fill up your lungs three-dimensionally. Take an open mouth exhale. Just do it one more time. Inhale, fill up your lungs, let your ribs lift. Open mouth exhale. Let yourself weigh down. See if you can just keep this breath going for yourself. Know that it is a commitment to stay aware. That's what it's all about on the mat. Whatever you brought in with you mentally, begin to let those things go one at a time. Remember that this stretch, we have some musical technical difficulties, but I think we're okay, right? Know that this breath is super important. Okay, and it will tell you whether or not you've gone too far in your stretches, in your practice. So take note of if that breath starts to quicken or it shortens up. Okay, take some deeper, longer breaths if you can. And then know that you can always back out of any stretch. Okay. So you can use your arms, start to open up your eyes, wake yourself up, come up into a seat. You could use your hands behind you. You can even take your blocks or your bolster behind you, lift your hips up onto it, maybe cross your shins in front. I'm actually gonna stagger. Okay. So root down through both of your sits bones. Let your thigh bones, again, just weigh really heavy. Come up to a tall neutral spine. Let your hands rest on top of your thighs. Take a breath in, lift up your heart, lift up your gaze, let your pelvis tip forward. When you breathe out, roll into your back body, chin in towards your chest, pubic bone lifts up. Inhale, seated cow, pull your shoulder blades back and together. Exhale, breathe into your back. Doesn't need to be big at all. Inhale one more time just to lift, wake up your spine. Exhale and round. Take a breath in, find a long stacked spine, take your arms all the way up overhead. And when you breathe out, place your left hand down, right hand up and over, way down into your right hip. You can use your top hand to cradle your head if that feels better for your neck. You can take your gaze skyward, lift your ribs up, or even curl down a bit so that you feel this stretch more into your back body. More lats, more QL. Stay for one more breath. Use your bottom hand. Inhale, push. Take a big reach all the way up overhead. Exhale, try the other side. Right hand down, come up and over with your left. Take that little cradle, support your neck. Lift your gaze or tilt it down. You can lower your top shoulder down a bit, feeling into your back body on your left side. Good. Then use your bottom hand. Take a breath in. Reach all the way up through both of your arms. This time, when you breathe out, take a swivel. Turn all the way over towards your left. You can hook your hands on top of your thigh to your low back. You'll sit up really tall when you breathe in. And when you breathe out, take your twist. Look all the way over your left shoulder. Try one more. And when you breathe in, reach all the way up. Come back towards the center. Exhale, twist to your right. Use your left hand across your thigh. Take a breath in, sit up tall. Exhale, look all the way over your right shoulder. Last one. Good. Inhale, come back to the middle, reach high. Lift up your heart. Good. And when you breathe out, let your hands come all the way down by your sides. Let's actually straighten out your legs. So bring them forward in front of you. You can land them about hip width distance apart or even wider if you're pregnant, okay? Start to walk really far forward on your sits bones. You should feel your pelvis start to tip forward. Kick out through your heels. Take a big breath in, reach all the way up. When you breathe out, lean forward with your heart. Maybe let your hands land onto your calves or to your ankles. Take a breath in, think long spine. When you breathe out, roll down into your back. I do love to show this one from the side. A really good example of what the difference is between hamstring length and back body length is if you can actually hinge from the hips and feel this from your hamstrings, right? Keeping your spine long, your body looks more like a V. When you let your spine roll down, you're more like a J shape. And that gets more into the entire posterior chain. Let yourself hang out here. Maybe even instead of pushing out through your heels, you let your toes relax out. You can let your hands flop. They don't even have to grip onto your feet. Let your chin come all the way towards your chest. And if you are propped up on something, you'll notice that there's more gravity assistance here. Take advantage of it. Take 3 more full rounds. If you're still carrying weight in your head, let it go. And one more just for good measure. And then take a slow rise. Use your hands if you need to. Roll up through your spine. Start to bend into your knees. Okay, put your feet one way so that you can pop over into a tabletop shape. I'm gonna back it. All right, so I'm gonna show you from the side again. Okay, for cat-cow, or just for this little wrist stretch, we're actually gonna spin your fingertips backwards so that the inside of your wrists are facing us, okay? So your thumbs will be out, pinkies in, your palms are down. Keep your knees underneath your hips or walk them in a little bit. Tuck your toes under, really let them stretch so you feel the soles of your feet beginning to open up. Being mindful that your feet aren't flaring open over onto the side or that you're not bailing out of your pinky toes or your big toes, okay? Let's take a lean back. Put more weight into your feet, more into your fingertips so you get this stretch on the inside of your wrists. Maybe you stay more lifted and you can take a breath in to lift up your tailbone, lift up your crown. When you breathe out, you can round. Try that on your own, either holding and staying or playing with some movement. And take one more. And round all the way in. When you breathe in, come back to a center. Spin your fingertips so that they're facing forward again. If you need to relieve your wrists a little bit, circle them out. You totally can. Okay, plant your hands down. Let's take your right hand, flip the top of your hand down so that your palm is face up. Fingertips are now back. Your thumb is in towards your center line. You don't have to put all of your weight on your wrist, but start to straighten out your elbow, sending the eye of your elbow forward. When you lean back, you'll feel this big stretch in the top of your forearm. Those are your extensors. And maybe you even still feel some in your feet. How you doing there? Good. Okay, one more breath here. All right, lean forward so that you can roll out your wrist, give it some love, and then let's switch sides. Left hand comes under, so the top of your hand is down again, fingertips high. So it looks like this. Okay. Start to lean back, feeling into the top of your left forearm. You can do some flexing of your fingers, picking them up towards each other. Just give yourself one more round breath. And then begin to shift forward so that you can take out that wrist, give it a little roll. And then I'll stay here. You can walk your feet in together if that feels better. You could also put a block on the highest height underneath you. Begin to lean back so that your hips are over your heels. You'll actually get a bigger stretch into your feet. And if this is like crazy amounts of sensation, you want to ease in, maybe just start with your feet flat, and then you can start to work your way in. Right? Or shift forward and just try pushing your weight back. But from this position, let's take your fingertips out to the side. Okay, chin down towards your chest. See if you feel any sensation on the back of your neck. If you actively depress your shoulders down, take an active reach towards the floor. Maybe you feel something in your upper traps starting to go. Begin to rock your head left to right, slowly. Rock your left ear all the way over to the left. If it feels okay for you, you can take your hand, apply a slight overpressure on top. The more you reach down with your right fingertips, the more you might feel. You could take your fingertips back, reach your arm back, notice the sensation, and take 3 long breaths. One more full one. Nice. Stay with your feet. You've got this. Take your right hand, put it all the way back behind your back. Relieve your right hand and actually give yourself a look down. So you're looking down at your left hip. Maybe you feel a little bit more if you actually look down. You could, again, just give yourself that slight overpressure. Give yourself just a moment to feel. Try not to bail out on your feet. I know it can feel fiery and intense, but stay with it. Last one. And relax your arms. Gently rock your head towards the center and to your right. Let's take a little shift forward into your tabletop so your toes can get a tiny break. But remember, we're going to dive right back in. So you can flatten them out if you like literally putting out a fire. Okay, then retuck them. Or for this round, maybe just stay flat on your feet. You'll stretch the tops of your ankles in a little bit more plantar flexion. Okay? We'll do the same thing. Chin down towards your chest. Rock your right ear over to the right. Let your left fingertips come down towards the floor. And when you feel this downward pull, this anchor, you can add some overpressure to give yourself more of that feeling. It's not a lot, it's like 5 grams of pressure. And tilt your fingertips back, take a stretch out with your hands. If you're on Instagram, show us some hearts. I don't see any.
Nothing.
Wow.
No heart.
Harsh. All right, let's take the chin down. And give yourself a little overpressure with your head looking down. You can take your left hand behind your back. Notice if your spine is starting to arch. Can you push your low back into your forearm? Take 2 more solid rounds here. Gently release your arms all the way down, chin towards your chest, just to even out. Give yourself a rock before you bring your head all the way back up. Start to shift your weight forward so that you're on your hands again. You can tuck your toes under, land your foot down one at a time so that you can come to stand. Inhale, find a halfway lift. Energize your back body, long spine. Exhale, fold yourself down. You can go wider with your feet. That will give you more stability, a bigger base of support. Let your crown come down to the floor. Try hooking onto your elbows, or you can interlace your hands behind your head. Give yourself some traction. This time thinking more length from your sacrum all the way down towards the back of your head. If a sway is calling your name, you can add that movement. Notice if you're locking out into your knees or if you can just soften. Shift your weight more forward into your toes. Trust yourself that you're actually going to catch yourself. Just bend into both of your knees. And then re-straighten. You can use your blocks to help bring the ground closer to you. Try that one more time. Bending in, letting your belly lay flat on your thighs. And then picking your tailbone all the way up. And relax your head down. One more breath. Inhale, push into your hands or your blocks. Lift up your spine. Step your left foot all the way back behind you. Lower your left knee to the ground. Widen out your stance so that your foot is pretty much on the outer edge of your mat. You can ditch the blocks if you like. Put your hands down so that they're right on the instep. They're in line with your instep. I'm going to show you guys from the side too. So this is your typical runner's lunge. If you have your ankle right underneath your knee, you'll feel more into your right glute. If you want to feel some more stretch into your ankle and deeper muscles in your calves, you can slide your heel back and actually lean your chest right over your thigh. So here you'll notice that my knee is way past my ankle, but I get a nice stretch back here. It feels a little different. I still get a hip flexor stretch on the left. You could play with the little head nod over towards your right if that feels better. You could notice maybe some extra neural tension. Maybe you play with both, or if you're in that ankle stretch, let's widen it out to the normal runner's lunge. And then let's take your toes all the way out towards a 45-degree angle. Plant your left hand down, also at a 45-degree angle. That'll give you more space to play with for a twist, okay? You can use your right hand to guide your knee over your second toe. Take a breath in, finding some length in your spine. When you breathe out, look over your shoulder to the right. You can stay right here, focusing on this twist in your spine, a heart opener. Notice your bottom shoulder, if it's rolling forward, keep it rolled back. You can even catch your left foot with your right hand. So do like a little runner's quad stretch. Doesn't have to be a lot. Stay for one more full round. Good, relax your foot if you have it. Start to bring your hands forward. Shift your foot back in alignment with your hip. Grab your blocks to help you out. Shift your weight back so that your leg is straight. From the side, your block is probably there. Where is it? All right, so pull your toes up towards your face. Take a breath in, lift up your spine. Breathe out, fold yourself down. You can take your time moving into this hamstring stretch for your right side. Again, just adding a bend to your knee will help take this stretch right into the middle of it all, the muscle belly. Relax your head just like you did before when your hips were propped up. Maybe you let your hands flatten and you let your foot flatten and straighten all the way out towards the top of your mat with your knee still straight. And then you can pull your toes back up. Notice if your body's actually craving that little bit of movement or if it just wants to stay still. There's no right or wrong. But keep checking in with how you feel. Nice, we'll hold this for one more breath. Good, when you breathe in, lift up your spine. Bend back into your right knee. Let's take the blocks up to the highest height. And tuck your right or left toes under. Let's lift up your knee. Step your foot in so that you're about 3 to 4 feet apart, maybe even more like 2 to 3. You can point your back toes if you like. Let's try squaring off your hips. So pull back on your right hip crease. You can even put your hand to your sacrum to play with that sensation. Take a breath in. When you breathe out, walk your blocks all the way over to the left. Okay, your feet are going to stay exactly as they are with the back toes flared out. I'll give you some room, babe. Okay, push your hips back. You might feel this outer line of your leg start to fire up. Pretend like this is a really awkward downward facing dog. You'll get this big stretch through your waistline, into your lats, underneath your shoulders. Relax your head a little bit. Then start to lift up your spine, walk your blocks in under your shoulders. Begin to point your toes all the way towards this long line of your mat with the outer edges of your feet parallel with the short ends of your mat. Take a breath in, find a long spine. Breathe out, fold into yourself in between your legs. You can keep your blocks or let your hands come all the way down to the floor. Again, just check in if you have this tendency to shift weight back into your heels. Bring them forward so that your hips are centered over your feet. You can stay in the center. You can do a little hip wiggle left to right to start to get into your inner thighs. Notice the outer edges of your feet. Can you push so wide that you even feel your arches energize? And let's try it for one more breath. And when you breathe in, begin to lift your spine back up. Take your blocks with you like little stilts all the way up towards the top of your mat. Pivot your toes so that they're facing the front. Take a big step up with your left foot. Take a breath in, find a long spine. When you breathe out, roll down in. Try that little bending of your knees. Okay, and then straightening all the way back up, just giving them some life. One more time, bend in and straighten out. And inhale, find a halfway lift. We'll try it all on the other side. Step your right foot back, right knee down. You can play with this modified runner's lunge to start with your ankle. I'm going to do this side since I didn't do it on the other side. Plugging your heel back. Let your knee dive forward past your toes. It's not that that's dangerous. You want this range of motion in your ankle, but you're modifying the weight, the pressure in your knee by using your hands. Okay, stay right there, feeling into your hip flexor. Maybe you go with the wide runner's lunge so that your foot is on the outer edge of your mat again. You'll get more sensation into your inner thighs. We'll meet Robin there. You can do that little rocking of your head if that feels good for you. And the hip flexor. A little bit more neural. Nice. Then let's bring your head back to the center. Okay, point your toes in the front at 45 degrees, so you're going wider, a little external rotation. Keep your right hand down. Left hand can come on top of your thigh to guide it wide. This time you will feel this more into your glute, your inner thighs, a little more into your hip flexor on your right. Take a breath in. When you exhale, keep lifting up your heart. Check all the way over your left shoulder. And if you can, bend your knee. It doesn't have to be a huge kick, but maybe you pick up your foot. Or you can actively reach for it. Bigger stretch in your quads. Stay for one more breath. Let it all go. Rewind. Grab your blocks or anything that helps you bring the ground closer to you. Shift your right toe, left toes in line with your hip. Straighten out your front leg. Take your blocks to the highest height. Give your spine some room, your hips to breathe. Inhale. Exhale, fold yourself down with your toes up. So you can stay exactly like this. Imagine that J shape again, where you can let your toes point all the way down with a straight leg through your knee, so you get more of the sensation on top of your ankle. Give yourself 3 rounds. Let yourself stay balanced through your hands, your knee in the back. Good. Inhale, start to rise. Bend into your left leg. Oh my goodness. Plant down into your hands. We'll get it right, yeah, for sure. And tuck your right toes under, lift up your right knee. Walk your foot in so that your hip width distance apart with your feet, but you're wide enough or long enough that it's got some room, like 3 feet or so. Take a breath in, find a long spine. Breathe out, start to fold in. Maybe this time you walk your blocks to the right. So you can push your hips back, even swiveling them so you get this outer line sensation for your outer hamstring. Okay, keep lengthening through your arms. And if you pick yourself up, keep pulling back. Where are you feeling it, Rob? Here and here. Yeah. Perfect. Let's do one more here. Start to lift your spine. Travel with your blocks all the way to the right. Let's try again. Toes in, heels out. Take a breath in, finding more length in your spine. Breathe out, take a dive. All right, so maybe this time, try reaching all the way through. Let your hands come all the way through your legs. And again, if you're shifting your weight back into your heels, come forward so that you balance into your toes, soften into your knees. Let yourself pull in. You could hook onto your ankles. Get your crown as close to the ground as you can while simultaneously lifting your tailbone high up. Imagine your full body breath happening again, coming into your hamstrings and your back. Last one. So release your grip. Let's place your hands right down in front of you. Grab a hold of at least one block. Let's put your right hand down on it. So it's right underneath your face, centered between your legs. Take your left hand to your sacrum, right at your low back in the middle of your pelvis. Take a breath in, find a long spine. Breathe out, try not to let your hips swivel. Twist into your spine, look over your left shoulder. You can stay exactly as you are if that feels okay on your shoulder. You could take a big reach, or you can take a half bind, totally up to you. Notice if your tailbone started to slip underneath you, can you keep lifting it up? One more breath. And gently release it. Unwind your spine. Let's place your left hand down on the ground or the block. Right hand to your low back. Breathe in, find some length. Exhale, twist all the way over. So if your sacrum went with you or your hips went with you, you might feel some inner thigh pull. But if you stay centered here, push evenly into your feet, push into the block, find your reach, or just stay, breathe with a half bind. Encourage your left hip to pull up towards the top of your mat. One more breath. Good. When you breathe out, relax yourself all the way down. Take your blocks with you so you can come towards the top of your mat. Pivot your feet. Go slow. Take a big step all the way up towards the top. Inhale, find a halfway lift. And when you breathe out, bend into your knees. Come onto your knees. Nice. So rock over so that you can find a seat. How you doing?
Really good.
Good. All right, I'm going to use the prop underneath my hips because I like that little bit of gravity. So use something squishy or use the blocks that are a little firmer. If you have to, use them as a big platform. Sometimes your hips like that. Right? Okay, so I'm just going to scooch that up underneath me. Here, I'll just scooch forward. All right, so we're going to come into this little butterfly shape. You have a couple of options though. You can either keep your feet as they are, soles together, or if you know you do like doing more of a malasana that kind of doubles up on the ankle stretch and the hip stretch at the same time, you can actually stamp your heels in really close to your hips. Knees are going to drive wide. Lean your weight forward off of your prop. It'll still be there to catch you if you like, but you can use your elbows to get more of this inner thigh stretch. Hands come together at your heart space. You can lean your heart forward. If you're in this butterfly, go ahead and just take a dive. If you're in Malasana, this yogi squat, you can reach your hands out. You can play with stretching into your twist again. Just notice what you feel. You don't have to move. You can just stay and breathe. Let's try taking 5 really conscious rounds of breath, even if you're in butterfly. Feeling into your feet so much that you could probably start to stand if you had enough willpower. Maybe your arms are still doing the work for you and driving your femurs wide. Start to lean your heart more forward, picking it up with more spinal extension. All right. Begin to lift yourself all the way up. So if you have a bolster or block behind you, just be conscious of it as you lean back. The floor might be farther away. Let's take your legs all the way out and keep them straight. Give them a little shake or a little wiggle. Sometimes getting out of the hip flexors can be really nice. Okay, so plant your feet down. It's almost like a bridge. If you need extra support, you can squeeze a block to give yourself that adductor hold. Keep your fingertips spun outward. That'll feel like a little less pressure for your wrists. Push down so firmly into your feet that your glutes start to lift your hips. Chin in toward your chest, or let yourself rock back. Take a breath in. Breathe out, slowly come all the way back down. Let's take the block out if you've got it. And we're gonna take this bolster out. So I've done something called a broken butterfly before, and if pigeon is more in your practice, you can dive into that. I can show that while Robin wants to show this broken butterfly. So that just means that your feet are not soles of the feet together. One is staggered in front of the other. So pick a side and remember which side. You'll just take your dive up and over again. We're gonna stick with the left shin in front. Slide your right thigh all the way back. If you're into yin and you know what deer posture is, right, you can take that pose where you're super relaxed into your hip. Just notice what's happening in your front knee. Okay? Or you can take this full pigeon. Slide your front heel in to get started. Come up onto your back thigh, nice and flat. Take a breath in, find some space in your spine. Breathe out, start to roll yourself down. If you have the space to actually lengthen out your arms and flip your palms either up or down, see what that does for your practice. If you're carrying any tension from sitting, standing, working from home, or even just going out on longer walks and runs for exercise, this posture is super great. But take advantage of it by breathing really deep. And even though your chest is down, you can feel the expansion right to left and back, top to bottom. Take one more here. And begin to lift yourself up. Okay, if you're in that broken butterfly, you can stay as you are, find some windshield wipering, or take your back leg in front. Then you can join in on this windshield wipering. Balance yourself out. Then we'll try the other side. Right shin stays in front. Left leg can swing back. So that'll look like this. If you're in that deer posture, take your fold over your front shin. Or if you're coming into pigeon, work your way up onto your back thigh. And scoot your knee as far back as you need to really anchor down into your hips. Take your breath in and your breath out to fold. You could always stick your bolster, your blocks, anything that feels supportive underneath you. Let your head rest. And again, if you're just finding extra tension, starting to curl up, begin to imagine it dissolving, unwinding, starting to get neatly folded in like a perfect little ball of yarn with every breath out. Take one more full one here. No rush to rise. Lift yourself up. Shift yourself over onto your right hip. Slide your left leg through. Walk your glutes to the middle of your space. Take a breath in, sit up tall. Breathe out, slowly roll down onto your spine. Take your time, get one vertebrae down at a time. We're gonna set the mood. So your legs can lay flat. You can give yourself one more squeeze if that's what you're craving. Start to shuffle your shoulder blades underneath you. Lengthen out your arms. You can even starfish all the way out and really get roomy with it. Come back to the little things. the tiny sensations within each part of your body. The small corners of your mind begin to quiet still. Don't worry about what your breath is doing anymore, but stay watchful of it. Watch where your mind still wants to travel. Maybe now you picture the ball of yarn and let it slowly unwind, not unraveling in a chaotic sort of way, but thoughtfully, peacefully. And just for fun and meditation purposes, what color is your ball of yarn? Is it a soft texture? Is it made of wool? Maybe it's ombre. You're more than welcome to stay here and linger. If you feel ready, take your time. It's not a race to wake up out of this restful practice. So mindfully take bigger breaths. Activate those tiny movements that you do have control over in your toes, in your hands. You can circle out your wrists, your ankles. Maybe open up your jaw and then relax it. Whenever you're ready, take a full body stretch, reaching all the way up overhead, all the way out through your toes. And when you breathe out, you can bend your knees, roll over onto one side. That's your fetal position. And just take a pause. Acknowledge the practice that you just laid down on your mat. Notice the things that you might have learned. How you move on your mat really does show you how you move off your mat, so take this time. And then find some gratitude for it. When you have that little piece of gratitude, come up into a seat. Bring your spine up long. Sit comfortably with your eyes closed or just soften down. Bring your hands to your heart space, acknowledging your own light. Empty out your breath to start. And take an inhale with us. Open mouth exhale. From our heart to yours. Namaste. Tired? Mm-hmm.